Hello friends, welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator video. As I promised before, today's video will be about Sim Toolkit Pro. And rather than doing a flight, we will look at Sim Toolkit Pro and what it has to offer for flight simulation. The reason I am loaded into the simulator is to show you how it can help you when you are planning your flights, but I'm not planning to do a flight today. We will discuss what Sim Toolkit Pro is, and that will be it for today's video. So without further ado, let me bring up the Sim Toolkit Pro window and we will start going through the menus one by one. As you see here, this is the dashboard window of Sim Toolkit Pro. You can connect or disconnect to the simulator. It uses Sim Connect to connect to Microsoft Flight Simulator, so you don't need to install any additional software for these two softwares to communicate. You can select the simulators you own. I also have Explain, but I just turned it off for now. And it will look for that simulator and connect automatically. So on this dashboard page, you have the information of the total flights you have completed, how many aircrafts you have in the hangar that we will discuss, total flight hours, and the current location. Down below is your flight log that displays your recent flights. And then over here is the news about flight simulation community, like for all the simulators, not specific to Microsoft Flight Simulator, but all the recent news from multiple sources are displayed over here. The next window is the live map. So in this map you have a lot of options to choose from. Sim Toolkit Pro flights, so you can display the current flights that are done using Sim Toolkit Pro. Like you see, you can display the VATSIM network flights across the globe, and there are many flights happening on VATSIM at the moment. You can display the ATC coverage and where you can expect to have ATC, and you can also show the airport ATC like tower or ground or delivery, clearance delivery, so on and so forth. Same goes for IVO, NFS cloud flights, and Pilot Edge. So these are online ATC networks. You can have some air overlays like rainfall, where rain is expected, like the weather information. Day and night cycle, which is this curve right here. Airspace boundaries, when you are using, I think the VATSIM or IVO, it's displayed. Points of interest, P3D, Explain, Microsoft Flight Simulator airports, and the flight plan that you have. And the ATC labels, if you enable this, it will display the ATC labels next to the planes, I believe, when you are on an online network, or I don't know, should be it. I barely use that one, because as you add more overlays, the map becomes heavy and it takes more time to render, so I try to keep it at a minimum, bare minimum requirements, and use it that way. Controls, there is only just one that I use to follow the aircraft I have. If you know the call sign or the username of a online ATC network user, you can track their flight too. Map style, you have multiple styles of maps. I use the dark one, but there is also a light version if you like to have something brighter. There is the Mapnik map, and then you can even have the satellite map too, which is nice. It takes some time to load though. This is very depending on your internet speed, so be aware when you are using this. This might require more resources, and this is the topographic map of the world. I usually stick with the dark mode. And one cool thing about the Sim Toolkit Pro map is, if you zoom in close enough. I'm trying to keep the aircraft at the center for you guys to see. Now you started to see some displays. So now this is showing the parking stands. We are currently parked at stand 567. And if I go outside on the simulator, which I need to switch screens to show you, you will see that I am right there. But I will show you that here in a second. You also have the taxiway markings for, and this is quite handy when you are flying on VetSim and the ATC gives you a taxi route like take taxiway Quebec Alpha, Lima, Papa, November, and then Alpha November, for instance, to line up with runway 26 right. This is quite handy and you can see the position of your aircraft, and it makes it so much easier to taxi when you are using VetSim, because right now the taxi markings of Microsoft Flight Simulator is all over the place and they don't match the real world taxiways at the moment, unfortunately. So that's something I frequently use with Sim Toolkit Pro to taxi to the runway from my parking position. And when you have a flight, your flight is also displayed here, which we will come back when we have a flight. The next up is the flights planning menu. You can create a new plan with SimBrief directly from Sim Toolkit Pro, or you can load the latest plan that you generated in SimBrief, which I have one right now. Or we can also take a look at creating it later on. We will come back to this. This has some more options that I want to discuss, so we will come back to this. Currently, we are parked at London Gatwick, by the way. And if you have a saved flight plan, like text, VFP, PLN, or FMS, you can drag and drop your plan here and it will load that flight plan for you. You can search for a route by an airline. This feature is still experimental and I didn't see this working so far, but we can give it another try together. So let's say if I'm looking for a Wizz Air flight, which I have delivery for today's aircraft, that will be Whiskey Zulu Zulu, and then it will display and it says there are 1354 routes for Wizz Air. When I select, so I usually get stuck here and it doesn't move any forward. But the notes were saying that you need to give some time for the software to load the map and all the flight information from the internet. But I wasn't patient enough to wait that long. So you can try this for yourself. You can go to real flights and search for a flight number if you know one. For instance, TK 2021 is a Turkish Airlines flight that I flew before. And as you see, it is from Istanbul to my home city in Turkey. And you can see the dispatch here. You can search for an aircraft. And these are the ones that I have in my fleet, which I will show you here in a second. I'll just select this one for instance right now because I don't have a Turkish Airlines aircraft in my fleet at the moment. I can put a call sign, whatever, date, OFP format. I use Lido all the time, but these are some different formats that different airlines across the globe are using, like Turkish Airlines is THY. Units, I keep it at kilograms. Schedule time, Zulu, this is your departure time, and then the flight. And if I hit generate, it will generate that plan for me. And it will pop a window which is showing me right now and asking me to log into SimBrief. So I'm not gonna go and finish this, but this is how you do it. And you enter your SimBrief password and username, and then it will carry that plan to here. Okay. And there is a route generator coming in the near future. Or you can copy and paste the text from SimBrief in ICAO format, and that will generate the route from this text if you want that. And there will be a VFR planner in the near future as well. Okay, flight planning, back to flight planning. You can load the saved flight plans, and you can save your flight plans from SimBrief if you want to, so that's an option if you want to keep some routes that you fly quite frequently. You can keep that flight plans and load that same flight plan into Sim Toolkit Pro. Logbook is nothing more than your recent flights, and it gives you your SimBrief plan information as well, like you see here. And it gives you a landing report that you can see. So this was my last flight, and it shows you the runway threshold and where you put your wheels down and your feet per minute. That was pretty good for an aircraft of that size, to be honest. Your landing speed, your ideal heading, and your heading, and the difference between your headings, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of details that you can go through. Can search the rep for the visited locations. I think this keeps each and every location you have been to from your logbook. And also fleet is the same as here. So these are the aircraft that I added to my fleet. I have a couple A320s, TBM 930. I think this was a King Air 350i, and this is Citation CJ4. You can add more from here. Add aircraft. You look for the airframe, and has a lot of airframes for you to choose from. And these are coming directly from SimBrief, so you might not maybe see the one that you're looking for that is in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I was able to find most of them. So Bonanza G36, you can put an airline code, well, TSP. Oh yeah, the Sim Pilot Air, TSPA, let's just make it like that, and you can just throw a registration number, and you can put the current location of the aircraft. Let's say I'm at London City, and that's it. When you hit OK, it will add that aircraft into your fleet right here, Bonanza G36, and you can edit or delete from here. Flight schedule I haven't messed with too much, but what you can do is you can search for scheduled flights. You can search for airline routes, which we have already seen. Let's see. Let's give it another try and see if we can get something. Looks like you need more time. But you can schedule a flight from here. I believe from, not here, I'm sorry, from here. You can schedule a flight. You can set your departure airport from London City, let's say, to Gatwick. And then the aircraft, let's say I decided to use G36. Is it BG or BN? I think it was BN36, can't remember. Let's just try A320 for the ease, and I can throw in a flight number there, and you can make it a round trip, and then hit OK, and this is your scheduled flight right now. It shows 4-minute duration because these two airports are very close for an A320, but that's how you create your flight schedule. and you can fly these routes. When you have an idea of a flight, you can keep a track of that here and fly that route later and plan for it. Landing reports, we have seen this, so these are the landing reports. Tools and data, this one I use a lot because one, this gives you different information for the airports, like Gatwick, for instance. It gives you all the frequencies, all the runway information, the transition altitude, and the weather information for that given airport. And it displays the airport on the map as well. So that's quite handy, especially the weather report when you are entering your altimeter and temperatures. And when you are planning your approach, this also is quite handy to have this information ready rather than trying to search the internet to find this information, or try to find it. It's just all in one place. The other thing, it has some checklists for different aircraft. So, but I didn't see any Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft in here. There is one for the famous 737 Zibo mode in X-Plane. And this is how you use the checklists. Preliminary, you just check each item, I believe, and go through this list when you are doing your checklist. There is a wind calculator for the airports. This is also helpful when you are trying to do an approach and want to see the wind information. So now it's saying approach heading is 257, wind direction is 200, wind speed is 7. So this is a little bit of a crosswind, but there is no other runway that will make it possible to have a headwind during landing. So this is your best bet to land into Gatwick if you want to do it right now. So now it's displaying the arrival details. Headwind is 3 knot, and then there is a 6 knot crosswind from the left. So this is quite handy when you are planning your approach into an airport. Network is giving you network information for different online ATC networks. Like Dimitri, this person is flying on FS Cloud right now. Let's see. FS Cloud. I'm looking for Sim Toolkit Pro. So these are Sim Toolkit Pro users at the moment. There is also IVO and VATSIM, I believe. Yeah, as you see. And I think it displays the user on the list and displays the route of that user if you want to track that user. So this is just, fun stuff when you have time to kill. Import. You can manually import your flights to your logbook to fill out your missing flights. You can import data from Project Fly if you are using Project Fly. I don't, so I haven't messed with this. FS Hub is not implemented yet, and I haven't messed with that too, but there is some information that you can pull from these networks or websites that you fly if you fly on those, and get that information downloaded into your Sim Toolkit Pro. Approach system is disabled right now because it's only supporting Zibo at the moment, but they are trying to bring some approach calculations for different aircraft, so hopefully it will be back in the future releases. Streaming, well, this is for YouTube streamers like myself. You can put a preview of your flight status onto your video screen from here, but I'm gonna skip this because most of you will not be interested in this. Connection status is showing the connection status of the simulator. Right now we are connected, 0 ground speed, 0 V speed. We are 8 feet above the ground level. We are at 204 feet of altitude. Our heading is 79. And this is the fuel information of the current aircraft that I am in. You can set this program to be always on top, which I have never done because I switch between windows, or I keep this on my second monitor, but that's also an option. And then the settings, there are a lot of settings here. So if you are having some performance issues, you can turn this on to disable some extra parts and restart the app, and this will increase the performance. So this will expand on the whole hover like this to increase the screen space, which I'm using right now. You can minimize the app to the tray if you want to. I don't use this. You can get a confirmation on clicking exit. If you accidentally click, it will not close the program right away and causes you to lose your flight. You can enable automatic connection, which I did, or simulators, enable simulators. You can enable automatic completion of flights where the aircraft state can be determined. This is just completing your flights when the Sim Toolkit Pro senses that your aircraft has come to a stop and at the destination airport. Analytics, I keep that off, but this is sending some information to Sim Toolkit Pro servers. Weather source, you can choose live weather source, active skies for X-plane, prepare 3D, and next, but I use live. You can, if you are a VATSIM member, you can use Chartfox chart system, which I will show you here in a second when we go back to flight planning. You can put the online nickname and SimBrief usernames here. I don't use Discord rich presence updates. I honestly don't know what it does. Hardware acceleration, I disable it because enabling this made the text blurry for me. So, and it's also displayed here, will fix blurry text and allow the app to be captured by OBS, Streamlabs OBS. This is what I use for recording. You can disable the automatic updates, and there is a background startup video, which I disabled. You can enable that from here. So Microsoft Flight Simulator has some other settings. So you can find your Microsoft Flight Simulator information and put that in there. And this will scan the scenery and display the Microsoft Flight Simulator airports on the map that we discussed a couple minutes back. SimConnect, you can use FSUI PC, but I use SimConnect, and that gives one less program to worry about. If you have your Sim Toolkit Pro, you can run this over the network. If your simulator is on a different computer, and let's say you are running Sim Toolkit Pro on your laptop, that's an option. And you can install the SimConnect library, which is automatically installed by Microsoft Flight Simulator. I honestly didn't have to do this for Sim Toolkit Pro to work, and I can auto scan for scenery from here, and it will scan the scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator and bring those airports into the simulator. Hopefully this will not take long, because I want to share flight planning stage of this program with you guys, or maybe I will just close it and come back to this later. I think this is a good overview of Sim Toolkit Pro. Let me switch back to the aircraft and close Sim Toolkit Pro and open it again so that we can go and check the flight planning part, because I don't want to wait for the software to scan the scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It might take quite some time. Okay, I closed Sim Toolkit Pro and opened it again. So let's just switch again and go to flight planning, and let's pull the latest flight plan from SimBrief. So it was a Wizz Air flight 1501 from Gatwick to Amsterdam. So when you load the SimBrief plan, it will give you your route information here, which you can use for programming the MCDU. There are some settings down here that you can set your cruise speed. We are definitely not going to cruise at 400 knots. Let's just pull it down to maybe much more reasonable number, like 320 for an Airbus A320. You can choose to fly on VetSim and profile your flight plan to VetSim if you want to, or any other online ATC network, or you can export this plan and save as an FMS file and open it later on. So that's an option too. So when you're done, it will display your route over here. It will also display your SIDs and your stars, which is quite handy. It will display the available runways on both on departure and destination, and the approach procedures as well. But we are not worried about those. I mean, we can pick an approach procedure. So D is DME, IO is, I think, I is ILS 206, I believe, yes. And R is RNAV approach to the runways. So we are landing to 18 right. We can choose an ILS approach and it will load that ILS approach for us, like you see here. Our departure is already planned, and all we need to do from here is to hit fly now, and it will display our sim brief operational flight plan, where we can look into how much fuel we need, what is our route, what is our cruising altitude. For this flight, the sim brief gave us 29,000 feet, and then our weighs, cargo, payload, passenger count, takeoff weight, and these are all in kilograms, and you can make this pounds as well if you like to use pounds, but I am so used to metric units, it always confuses me when it's imperial units. And then your route information, and remember our Sim Toolkit Sim Brief video, your wind and route is displayed here at each flight level. Your flight level is the top number right here. This is 9,500 feet and wind information, and this is the outside air temperature at that altitude. So a lot of good information here. Top of climb, how far away it is. I think that information is also here, the distance. Last number, 8 miles. And it's, I think, 4 miles from here to here, 2 miles from here to here, and there should be a total distance as well. Trying to remember which one was it. Okay, right here. I think 27. No, not that. There must be something that shows the total distance. Should be this. Real distance, maybe this. 33. I'm not sure. I need to go back and remember what was that. But you can get all that information from here. Your top of climb. Oh, I figured that out now. So this is right there. Distance to destination. So 244. And then -8 is 236. So this is increasing, or this is the distance between these waypoints, KKW02 to KKE09. And then this is the distance to destination. So 232, 230, and your top of climb is, in this case, 141 nautical miles away from your destination airport, and your top of descent is 91 miles away from destination. And Sim Toolkit Pro displays this information on the map. There is a scratch pad which is quite handy for online networks to take notes when you get instructions from ATC, like your clearance and squawk code and initial climb altitude, so on and so forth. Also, you will have the radio frequencies for London and Gatwick London Control is the center, Gatwick is clearance delivery, ADs, and if I hover over it, will show you. It's saying offline. So these are, and the weather information as well for METAR and TAF displayed here, and same for Amsterdam as well. You'll see your waypoints here, and this is the coordinates. So remember, sometimes when you are programming your flight, MCDU asks there is two of the same waypoints, which one you want. This becomes quite handy to see the coordinates of that waypoint to make the right selection in the MCDU. I had to use this couple times. And remember, I told about Chartfox. So now it says departure charts. And if we search for Gatwick, asking me to, I'm not going to open the full version. Oh, okay, it's already here, I think. So this is the departure for Gatwick, it's already in here. SID, and remember what was our SID? Frame 1 X-ray. So we are looking for Frame 1 X-ray right here, and it will load the chart for you, as you see. This is quite handy if you don't have Navigraph and if you want to have access to charts. This is what you can use. And the other thing is, I haven't entered my VATSIM information, I believe, into here. So that means either Sim Toolkit Pro has a VATSIM membership that makes it possible for these charts to be displayed here. You have to figure that out yourself, because I can't remember my initial setup of Sim Toolkit Pro. But if it's working for you, then you get free charts for your flights if it's on Chartfox. And this is the arrival charts. Let's say star. Our star is this one, because there is only one in the chart, and it's displayed here. And our approach, remember we were approaching to runway 18 right, and it was an ILS approach, so this is our approach plate that's displayed here. So this is quite handy to have charts in Sim Toolkit Pro. And the airport charts are even here too, like the information about the airport, and I think and see the sources from VATSIM Germany. It's giving you all the charts for oh, this is Düsseldorf. I don't know why it's thinking that we are going to Düsseldorf though. Oh, that might be the I know why. That is our secondary airport, just in case Amsterdam Schiphol airport is not available. We have to go to Echo Delta Delta Lima. That's in our flight plan. Sorry about that. Yeah. Actually, that is here as an alternate route. Right there, Echo Delta Delta Lima. So that's here. So that's the flight planning. That's the most part that I use, and it also tracks the aircraft like so. And when you are en route, the map will update, and that airplane symbol will follow the route. The only downside, or maybe it's not a downside, but only limitation, Sim Toolkit Pro comes with navigational data from Navigraph when you first install it, but it is going to be probably a dated version of the AREC cycle. I have Navigraph, so I keep updating the navigation data of Sim Toolkit Pro, but even without that, this is a really great tool to use for flight simulation, so I highly suggest you guys give it a try and see if that works for you. But I think for today's video, this is going to be it. and that's going to be Sim Toolkit Pro. I will not do anything with the aircraft. Later videos I will probably show you how that overlay works and how the map works in a separate video when I'm actually flying, but today I'm not planning to fly. So this is going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions, you can join to my Discord channel to ask those, or drop me a comment down below at the comments section. I check the video comments at least once a day to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you want to get notified for future episodes, please consider subscribing and turning on the notifications. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.